Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Bipolar Uncovered, my journey of living and learning. My name is Brian Warren. I wanted to start this vlog because of mental health, especially bipolar. It can really feel like this huge, big, confusing, scary, and not just sometimes scary, really scary to be diagnosed with. But I've learned that when we talk about it openly and just talking to people about it, whether it be a therapist, a close friend, spouse, whatever, it can really become less of a monster in a dark and more than something that we can actually understand, manage, and learn and live and grow from. So this is my journey. I am not a doctor, I am not a psychiatrist, I am not a psychologist, I am not a therapist. I'm not here to give you medical advice. I'm just a real person sharing what it's like to live with bipolar and what I've learned along the way. So let's get started. For me, it started with this feeling that my life had two very, very different speeds. Like I was either racing at 100 miles an hour plus or completely just stuck in the mud. Like I couldn't move. And at first I thought, it's just me. I thought maybe I was just like super high energy sometimes and just burnt out others. But it kept happening in cycles. At first I didn't notice it. The highs were pretty exciting. Just running. Huge ideas, big bursts of creativity and energy, staying up, playing video games with buddies, and just my life was just the best thing in the flipping world, and it was awesome. And then the crash would come, and those lows weren't just bad days. It was heavy, dark, overwhelming. Felt like I had someone just sitting on my chest, and that sucked. Best way I could put it, it sucks. But eventually I knew I needed to get help because I had an incident at work, and I knew I needed help. And I'm very thankful because the attorney I got told me, you got something up with you. You need to get checked out and figure out what's going on inside your head. And that's what led me to my diagnosis. And I'm very thankful for that. So we'll get into the diagnosis next. Okay, the diagnosis. It scared the hell out of me. Hearing the words bipolar disorder type 1 for the first time was a lot. I felt a huge mix of emotions. I mean, for the first while, when I got told, I held it together until I got away from the psychiatrist. And all I could think of was like, what does it mean for my future, for me, my wife, my kids, everything. And I was crushed because where I grew up, Boston area, especially in the 80s and in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, bipolar means you're crazy, you belong in an institution, you're nuts, your life is, as you know it, is just gone. But then I talked to my wife, and I was a blubbering mess. I mean, if I had mascara, I'd look like the Crow, going back for a 90s reference. I'd look like the Crow with all the black. I'd look like an emo kid. No offense to emos either. You be you. I don't care. I'm just not wearing, huge sole shoes and dressing in black all the time. No offense. But then I talked to my wife, and she was smiling, after a little bit. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I thought this. I would never say this to my wife, but why the F is this lady smiling right now at one of my darkest moments of my life? And then she said these words that really hit home. At least you know what's wrong. And it was just one sentence. And that's when the light bulb went off in my head. Finally, what I'm experiencing has a name. I wasn't just broken. I have an illness, I guess you could say. And if you get cancer, you go to an oncologist. You don't just try to wing it. You go and get the help. You get the medication, things like that. And when I first got diagnosed, going back to that, I thought my whole life would be just chaos, like forever. But slowly over the past couple months, I've learned that that's not the case. It just means my brain's working differently than others. And now I have the tools to understand it and fight it. Okay, my early lessons that I've learned, one of the biggest things I've learned so far in these last few months is that self-awareness is everything. I've had to learn to notice my patterns when I'm heading into a high and when I'm slipping into a low. And it's all internally either. It's not just all internally either. My wife notices now. Like when I start really going into stories and just going on and on and on and on. Like I used to be that guy that would talk so much when I was in a high that the people wanted to go and they couldn't find a second to get an out. So I've had to really learn my patterns. And when it comes to the going on the lows, when those thoughts start getting in your head and you start beating yourself up and beating yourself up and beating yourself up to the point where you're like a Mike Tyson opponent in the 80s, just getting beaten to a pulp mentally, I had to catch myself and stop myself from thinking that way. And it happened a lot. Another big one was sleep. Sleep mattered more than I ever knowed. Like I would stay up late and push and push and push and push. And then the next day, push and push and push and push. Well, I was in a mania phase. Sorry, a little tongue twister there. And missing rest made it even worse. And maybe the hardest thing I had to learn was asking for help. Asking for help isn't a weakness, And I learned that after my diagnosis. Therapy, medication, leaning on family and friends, and I mean true friends, ones that'll be there and not judge you. That's all part of being healthy, mentally and physically. And it's okay to need that. We all need that. We all need that help here and there, Think about sometimes, when you're doing like a project or a group project. If one person does it all, they're going to get burned out and probably not get as good of a job. So you get the help you need. Someone that knows carpentry. Say you're redoing something in your house, you need to get someone that knows carpentry. Another guy that knows electrical. Another guy that knows plumbing. It can mean the world. And this vlog is my way of showing the real up and downs of this diagnosis. But it's also here to show that you have hope. You have a future. You're gonna grow. This is just a minor speed bump on the road of life. And there is a way forward. Well, this is the end of the first vlog. So yeah, that's how my story began. Figuring out, what it was and discovering what it was, what the name was, getting diagnosed and starting to learn what bipolar really means to me. And that's what I want to explain to people. Just let them know that there is a tomorrow, and tomorrow can be a beautiful, great, amazing thing, especially when you get the help you need. I'm a living, breathing apparatus of that. In the next episode, I want to talk about the myths and misconceptions about bipolar, because wow, there's a lot. And really, I just wanted to thank you for being here for the first ever episode of Bipolar Uncovered. If you connected with anything I said, leave a comment and share my story. I'd love to hear from you. I'm not looking to make money off of this. I want to do this to help people, because I know there's a lot of people like me out there that aren't willing or aren't ready to get help yet because they're not in the right mindset. And if I can guide you towards getting help, or even just having a discussion about it, I'm all for it. And I'm going to be bringing on some mental health professionals, not just Jim Bob from Facebook or going on WebMD. People that actually know what's going on with bipolar. And don't forget to subscribe, so you can join me on this journey, because this is definitely not a one and done, one-time hitter, kind of show. I plan on doing this for a while. So take care of yourself, and remember, you're stronger than you think. Have a good one, guys.